Alright, hello there, everyone. Coming at you with round 2 of Swiss from the tournament on 14 May at Infinity Games. This was just a casual game night kit, and we're going to be here with an Edward Kim versus Blue Sun. Edward Kim being piloted by Steve, and Blue Sun being piloted by Alex, a different Alex from last week. And funnily enough, I have Alex with me here today.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me, Frank.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's going to be good to have your insights. So again, you played this game, you know the result. I don't.
Yeah,
Actually, I do because I remember the tournament results. But that's damn it. I don't know what happens. There we go. I'll leave it at
spoilers.
that. Yeah, spoilers. It's a shame. But so I mean, when you sit down, I'm pretty much gonna ask this question every video. I mean, when you sit down at a table like this, you're sitting there as Blue Sun. You see Edward Kim. I mean, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking Edward Kim is actually quite intimidating for Blue Sun, I think. Or just for most of the Wayland factions. In part because a lot of the Wayland decks are obviously going to rely on Scorched Earth as one of their win conditions. And Edward Kim is probably criminally underplayed in that regard, but yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
intimidating to see.
if you can get in there and get rid of those scorches. I saw you mulliganed your hand, but you had to think it was a scorch and another scorch or something, or a traffic accident in that opener. I think there was no money in it, so you mulliganed. But
Yeah, it didn't look great.
yeah.
Did Ice Light.
So anyway, I'm seeing Errand Boy is an interesting choice for you, and you're putting it over R&D there. I mean, what's the thing about Errand Boy? I mean, you don't really see it that often.
No, I think it's one of those ice that is suffering because Parasite really is all over the place still. Especially after the Order and Chaos big box, which has led to even more Anarch being played. And Errand Boy is really, really nice, especially in Blue Sun, but if they could just throw Parasite on it, then, you're losing a lot of money there. Although, of course, the fact that, you can just bounce it back means they do need to have a way to immediately kill it with a Parasite, but...
Grimoire.
Well, yeah, we'll pretend that's not in the game for now.
We'll just pretend that doesn't exist. Anyway, so you start off there with the classic hedge fund ice. He starts with a good burst of economy, gets a data sucker down, dirty laundry and archives, gets a token. I mean, that's got to be a strong start.
Yeah, no, I think both starts are starting off fairly well here. The fact that he's not running is a little frustrating for me, because it means I obviously don't get to use my ability to its best. But yeah.
Yeah, I noticed you trying to cheat with the restructure there. That was
Oh yeah,
solid. Yeah.
somebody's got to do it.
Oh, somebody. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I kid. Anyway, so it looks like we're going to be seeing the slow game out of Edward Kim. Last week we saw, I'm pretty sure it was the same deck, but last week we saw a very quick start with the Desperado and the Data Sucker and just everything just going at once, and the Foundry having to struggle to keep up. But this time it looks like it's going to be a little slow, which is pretty good for you, I guess, considering you're playing the kind of slow roll Blue Sun, semi-glacier into kill, that whole kind of gig.
That's it. As long as he doesn't get carried away and spends too much time setting up, I do want him to run eventually. I need to drain him of some of that money, and seeing that Cardi come down, yeah,
that's a bit counter to your current
that's it.
current goal. And the hacktivist meeting going down again, really strong for Edward Kim. Also considering what we know because of last week's video, this is the old hemorrhage gig. That hacktivist meeting combo into. So now you can't overdraw with the Jacksons, you can't, you can't do that Adonis trick. I mean, it's really shutting down.
Yeah, no, this Edward Kim list is pretty interesting. I mean, I've played against it once before, and I really like the amount of tricks it has and the amount of ways it has to pressure all sorts of corps. So we'll see some of those ways as the game progresses. But yeah, it looks like I'm just slowly trying to set up a scoring remote.
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
And I feel like that's the right decision. I mean, looking at it, his hand, I think I see a hemorrhage in there. I can't really see much else, so I don't think he's got many breakers. I mean, you could probably start rushing out, but obviously if you start rushing out, if you do rush out, he's got nothing, but if you don't, he's going to have, a knight into an inside job, into, all the everything just to get in and punish you like crazy.
Yeah, no, that's definitely what I'm concerned about, and I think Blue Sun definitely needs to start scoring things out, or at least putting pressure on the corp in some way when they're not running. And in this case, it looks like a lot of the pieces, the kill pieces, are in hand, but until he starts running, I can't really do much about it. So
Yeah. And I mean, I'm seeing you've kind of got a decent amount of gear checks around the place, and I mean, if he runs the R&D, he'll find it very, very porous, but hasn't done that yet. So
yeah, I know it's hopefully going to be, well, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
yeah, so and again, a very slow start, very contrary to what happened last week. Another data cycle being put down, so that maybe will start increasing the pressure. Katie's starting to get a bunch of money on her, so maybe the runner will consider two. I see two mimics in hand. Tosses one, that's fine, but yeah, so two mimics in hand is pretty. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, you see him building up his rig slowly but surely, and with that Jin, he doesn't have to worry about MU as much either. So
Yeah. And again, that hacktivist meeting just really showing it off. I mean, you put down a Jackson to, but then it's like, oh wait, I'm going to have to draw one and draw one because you can't just throw away, because if you res the thing and get rid of a Scorch or something, that's not going to be pretty. It's, again, hacktivist meeting, we discussed this last week, it's a really, really strong card.
that's it. It's one of those cards that I think people will need to learn to play around. It's definitely one that's going to continue to be relevant as long as people play assets. And Jackson Howard's not going anywhere, so yeah.
Yeah. And also, especially, I think, again, we discussed this last week, but with the current meta being so focused on many non-ice cards, I mean, you see things like Nearpad just being, I res, 18 things, and, there's a focus on non-ice cards, all the assets, the upgrades, all that. So hacktivist meaning you'll generally get a bit of value out of it, or at least a bit of pressure. So I mean,
Yeah.
icing up archives there, I think, is a good move. Still got an unprotected server, so hemorrhage tokens can still be got, but we know it's a Jackson, so you could raise and pop if necessary.
Yeah, that's true. Although with that hemorrhage up, the pressure will be on for me to start pushing out agendas, because if I don't, then obviously he can start emptying my hand eventually. And one of the downsides to Wayland and current Blue Sun decks is just the lack of punishing ice. I mean, all the run ice in the world is not really going to put much pressure on your opponent. So
Yeah, there's no particular reason not to just start running in. I mean, I know a list I recently started using, as you know, because we've played a couple of times, is I put in the Marcus 1.0 just to punish face checking.
yeah. Now that one, I think most people expected to be a lot worse than it has been from what I've seen, but we'll see how many other decks outside of HB decks it's going to be relevant in.
Okay, so the runner now, I mean, not much money, although a bunch of money on Katie Jones. I mean, where's that smash and grab? I mean,
I know, it's time to splash that one, I think.
yeah, I mean, that just ends the game right now, doesn't it? But
I think that would be pretty good. Pretty close to ending it.
I kid, but the mimic's now on the board, so you put the snare in the remote, trying to bait it out. I mean, that's obviously a solid
I
move.
know. It's a bit sad. I should probably bait with agendas rather than snares, but obviously, if he does go for it, then the game is practically over, I think, depending on the ice that's in front of that snare. But yeah, he's been very patient. He hasn't run.
Yeah, I think we've seen one run for the entire game, and the only purpose was because it was a dirty laundry run. So
yeah. So at some point, this game is just going to explode. But until then, and we see more ice in front of that remote. So
all right, so you're definitely looking to put yourself in a position where you can score, but we'll see whether that actually occurs.
yeah, all the kill pieces in hand. For anyone who couldn't tell until now, this is obviously the lower gender density, high kill card density deck. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what am I seeing? I'm not sure whether that's 2 or 3 Scorches. There's definitely a Punitive, there's definitely a Seesaws.
That's it.
And I mean, as it stands, all he's got to do is make any run at all.
Well, yeah, I think that is what I'm waiting for. But the more time he spends clicking up Cardi and just kind of collecting his money slowly, the more concerned I get that throwing an agenda into archives might not have been the best idea. But we'll see how we go.
Yeah, so at this point, it's really hard to say anything here. I mean, the Underworld Contacts just got dropped, so I mean, it's a bit of a tempo hit. But again, like with what is that? I think it's 6 stacks on Katie. There's 18 creds, which is, I mean, I'd like to think kind of a significant amount of credits.
Yeah. The fact that he is catching up to my amount is probably the biggest issue, since we do actually want to seesaw him, if possible.
Yeah, and also now he's got that dice, and he's got I think it's 2 link now. I think Edward Kim's got a link, so 2 links now. Slightly more. So you're gonna so you put the high risk investment in, and I mean with 2 punitives in hand, I don't see that as a bad move. I think that's 2 punitives at least. I'm having trouble seeing.
Yeah, with all that shuffling, no, I'm pretty sure it's a couple of punitives, so it's definitely worth trying to push something out at this stage.
Definitely 2 punitives. And so it's install advance. That seems pretty solid.
Well, and here we see a bit of action on the runner side finally.
He's finally going to grab the creds.
This is why I like dice. Usually I would use dice, but obviously for filming purposes, dice are probably not as convenient.
Yes, no, I think we're going to do I wouldn't say a fight. We're going to do a small little thing about no dice. Just because the camera's so low quality. See, it's my problem, but I just impose my problems onto you.
And that's very considerate.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm seeing about 24 credits, I think, of the runner.
Yeah, I can hardly tell just how much that is, but it's quite a lot of money, more than I have.
Significant amount. So there's an errand boy over archives that we saw get installed earlier, but
he does have the mimic on the table, so the question is, if he runs into it, does he bother paying, or does he just let me benefit?
Yeah, the other problem is I'm pretty sure there's agendas in archives, and to get them out, you've got to res the Jackson, which means triggering the hacktivist meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, the question here is, like, but the problem is you actually now can't just let him have it, because you can't win the punitive traces.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of all the money, so it does definitely become a no-win situation. It looks like you are gonna res the Jackson and trigger the hacktivist. So I think that's the reasonable move at this point. If you could win the punitive traces, yeah, sure, but
yeah, that's it. I think that's probably one of the main considerations at that stage. Edward Kim has been patient, and now that he has all that money, he is being rewarded. With me having to go for a score out path or route for now, but yeah, I think we see me putting a few agendas back into the deck.
Yeah, it looks like I think it's gonna be punitive cleaners and a posted bounty.
Yeah.
At least it's looking like that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's it. Posted bounty is one of those exciting alternatives. So here we see a snare possibly, but yeah, no, posted bounty in that remote would be beautiful as well. Just really like that card.
Definitely strong.
Hasn't really been played that much.
Yeah, the combo is definitely out of favor in comparison to just like the NEH Butchershop style of just breaking news. Yep. Just if anything, just because it's a little easier. So it looks like you just put the snare back instead of leave the punitive. I guess you don't really need 3 punitives. It's a bit overkill.
Yeah. That seems excessive, especially if I have 2 in hand, I think.
Okay, now the problem is I'm actually not sure whether you still have 2 in hand. I'm not sure. I think he got the second one with the hacktivist.
Oh.
Alright, so you're just going to lock him out of the scoring server. You want those 3 points. It's not difficult to do at all, so...
Definitely seems worth it at this stage. And Curtain Wall is one of those that you're very happy to just bounce back to your hand for a bit of money.
Easily. Now the question is whether to res the errand boy over R&D, puts you to 0, but you can... Yep, nice, just let him have it. Seems reasonable. If he steals something, you can maybe get him with a punitive, if not... Yeah. I mean, there's not really much to do at this point, except for just kind of sit around and do the thing.
Yeah, exactly. And with a deck that only runs sort of 7, 8 agendas, you generally don't have to worry so much about them finding something in R&D. So
Exactly. Alright, so the high-risk investment is out. Still got a bunch of credits because thanks to the bounce of the curtain wall, Hacktivist meeting is dead as hell. And that should certainly put you in a better position because now you can do the Adonis stuff, you can res a Jackson if you'd be so bold.
yeah. Although it looks like we're taking our time getting rid of that hacktivist meeting.
Yeah, I was about to make a comment on that, but I'm like, nah,
Yeah.
I'll just be nice, and he's gonna do it eventually. I won't bother.
That's it. On the other hand, the high risk investment is really quite a good agenda to get out at this stage.
Especially,
Since,
yeah, very, very good. Now the medium
yeah.
gets dropped. Now it gets a bit more interesting. I mean, you've got money now, and you'll probably end up with more money thanks to the higher risk.
Yeah.
So just rest a curtain wall. Yep, that seems pretty good. Got to
For
prevent those
now,
counters.
we do see that board state on the runner side building up quite significantly, and with the hemorrhages getting started as well, it does look like. All right,
That is not an
pretend
enigma.
I didn't do whatever that was.
Definitely not an enigma.
No. No, who runs Enigma really?
Alright, so he's gonna get the access. Edward
And
Kim's
we
out of
see,
punitive.
Edward Kim triggering for the first time, I think. Not too much excitement there, but the build-up of tokens is a little bit concerning as well.
Yeah, that's.
Of virus counters, yeah.
Oh, there we go. There's the hacktivist meeting going.
Yeah. Better late than never.
Oh yeah. Alright, at this point I really don't see a reason not to use the high risk investment. I mean, this is probably about as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah.
And yep, nope, you're thinking about it. Stop thinking about it. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I'm not sure if I think I'm going to find the answer by shuffling cards in my hand.
Yeah, I mean, there's this old... I forget who said it to me, but it was something like, it doesn't matter how much you shuffle them, they're going to be the same cards.
Mm-hmm.
There we go, okay, so use the last click, that's fine. So that puts you in a really good economic position. I mean, your Blue Sun, you've got, restructures and hedge funds still to come, you've still got the Seesaw Scorch in hand, so as long as Edward Kim doesn't snipe that out, you're probably in a good spot at this point.
Yeah, I would say so. It is interesting to see what the plan is here for Edward Kim.
Yeah, okay, it looks like I'm lying. You don't have the Seesaws anymore.
Yeah.
That's fine. And yeah, I agree. It's not really a very solid position for Edward at this point. Steve's got to really think about where to hit and how to hit.
I think with the medium on the table, the hemorrhages, and still a reasonable amount of money, central pressure is probably the way to go, but it looks as though he's running on the remote.
So no reses anywhere, it's just a Jackson pop. That seems reasonable. Get back some of those pieces you've lost.
He'll probably be glad to see the second Jackson go fairly early.
Yeah, I mean, with all those hemorrhage tokens and 2 Jacksons already gone, that definitely doesn't put you in the best position. So it looks like a bunch of kill pieces going back in the deck. That seems pretty good, considering one of your main win conditions is to make a solid kill.
That's it. Better there than archives.
Alright. So I mean, as the runner right now, you've got to be trying to think, make the corp res as much as you can, because I mean, especially considering, I mean, Blue Sun only reses 1 per turn. Sorry, only pops back 1 per turn. So if you can get all those reses, you can maybe find a weakness, but. I mean, with a Blue Sun sitting on, what's that, like 34 credits, I mean, that's 2 curtain walls, that's kind of whatever the hell you want, really.
Yeah, exactly. The money's definitely there right now. And we do see him finally run on archives and me finally res the errand boy.
Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty reasonable. So you're Have to toss 2 cards thanks to those hemorrhages. Thankfully, it's your choice, so you get to pop some not scorches. And it looks like a
I'm
purge.
down to 4 cards, I think. Yeah, purge seems like a pretty reasonable decision at this stage. It does mean that archives is actually unprotected, and you can kind of just build up data cycle tokens and hemorrhage tokens again. But
Yeah, that's the only thing about that that I'm a little skeptical of, is that...
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, this is where things like Cyberdeck's Virus Suite really help.
yeah. I'm not quite sure what the influence is on that, if there's
None.
any. Is that a neutral one?
Yes, neutral.
Yeah. So
So he's going to be running, I think it's 4 times on archives. He just... something, give me hemorrhage tokens.
yeah, seems like a reasonable choice on his part.
Yeah, and I mean, the pressure's back on you.
That's it. Who needs a Utopia shard if you've got hemorrhage going?
Yeah, I'm seeing a Seesaw Scorch in hand. Runs have been made, but I'm pretty sure you're just now scared of I've had worse not managing. I don't think it's going to deliver the goods.
That's one of those things that you just need to worry about so much with Anarch nowadays.
Alright, so you're going to take the slower approach, just try and draw up. Third Jackson's now on the table, so now there's a bit more pressure to do something about it, so to speak. And the Errand Boy goes back on archives as well. So again, so now just a solid slow ball position. I think this is pretty reasonable by you. I mean, there's not really much else you can do at this point. I mean, there's a significant amount of pressure on the board.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think for the most part, just the hemorrhage tokens and the lingering threat of the medium are just things that I need to continue to consider. Meaning that things like the errand boys, whilst quite porous, are more there to intimidate him and to try and win that money race as well.
Alright, and another punitive getting snapped off by Edward Kim. That's... Edward Kim starting to really... This game definitely shows a lot more of Edward Kim's real strength than the game from last week.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those IDs that we'll probably see a bit more play once people move away from asset economy, and then with cards like Hacktivist Meeting in the mix, he can put on a lot of pressure.
No, I completely agree. Alright, so we're going to see a res that Enigma. That Enigma that did not exist.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
But the Enigma seems to keep him out, which is quite comforting for me.
Yeah, now we did see a Parasite in his hand, so that's not so good for the health of that Enigma, but hopefully there's something in front of it that might bolster. Money seems to be in your favour at the moment. It's about 24 to 35. And yeah, you're just going to take the slow roll and just purge. That seems pretty good. There's just a lot of data sucker tokens. Couple too many hemorrhage tokens.
That's it. The hemorrhage tokens, I think, are just incredibly intimidating there.
Yeah,
you don't want to have to worry about having to discard your Scorch combo at this stage.
Yeah, and to be quite honest, I'm legitimately surprised that Steve hasn't actually fished out his second hemorrhage with Jin yet.
Yeah.
And there's the Desperado getting dropped, so...
Better late than never.
Yeah. Looking at his hand, it looks like the Seesaw Scorch actually would have swung. But, you never to know, of course.
And I think we can see that posted bounty in my hand, so I might be considering just trying to sneakily find a window to install advance it, and then keep the Scorch combo up, and possibly find a third Scorch just to make sure it goes through.
Yeah, definitely. That third Scorch is definitely important. Again, especially against I've Had Worse, which, funnily enough, we see just getting drawn there. The question is, I mean, he's got to keep it in hand at this point. He's seen all the kill pieces, so...
Yeah, I think if I do see him play an I've Had Worse, I would likely just go for the combo, but the fact that I haven't seen him play any at all yet makes me worry that he's just holding 1 or 2 in hand.
Yeah, I think you've got to think that. Alright, so we're seeing a run on R&D here. Aaron Boy getting rezzed again, trying to win that money race. It's pretty good. But I'm not sure what this second one is. I mean, I'm guessing it's a curtain wall or something, but yeah, it's curtain wall. So
Yeah. Not as healthy in that position as it could be in another one, but at least rezzing it at this stage means that I can bounce back to my hand and put it back in front of the errand boy if I am inclined to do so.
yeah, which is obviously a very solid position for it. I mean, it's still, what is that, 4-7 to break? 7 to break's kind of a lot for a single access. So,
Yeah, I'd say so.
and he looks like he's doing it. So again, this
Let's see if
really
he gets rewarded.
pushes the money back in your favour, and he's going to get rewarded by getting rid of another punitive. Those perfect snipes.
Yeah. I think with that we have at least 2 punitives in the bin, so that plan might be out, but
yeah, I mean, unless you
leave
Jackson
swatches.
him back in.
Yeah.
And Katie getting another little hit. Now, one thing we haven't talked about is that housekeeping. What's your thinking behind that? I mean, you haven't seen really that many housekeepings getting played, so
Yeah, I think it's another one that hasn't really been played as much as it probably could or should be. I think it's a devastating card against a few decks if you get to play it early, but this was kind of a bit more of an experimental Lusan build, so I think it's the only copy in the deck, and it did show its power in round 1 when I played against the Kit stealth deck. That just had to discard so many cards to get set up, which just won me so much time.
yeah, and it's just not
Let the score
viable.
out.
Just to be completely blunt, it's just not viable. Like discarding that much stuff, you've got to either get a current out of your own or just do
Yeah,
do
exactly.
something. Which is actually another good thing about Hacktivist, meaning it gives you that opportunity to play a current that you actually kind of want to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, so there goes the third Jackson. That's not the best. But, I mean, you've got to get the cleaners out. 3 points is kind of a lot of points.
That's it. And with the punitives in the archives, whoa, and unfortunately that means I'm leaving one of my sea sources in archives as well. So there is a second copy in the deck. I think the deck is thinning quite quickly, so
Yeah.
I hope to find it at some stage, but otherwise that posted bounty still looks like it's eager to get scored out and to try and go for a kill that way.
Definitely, definitely. We also saw that Jackson, it was the cleaners and then 2 punitives, so you still... I mean, when he's on no points, punitive's still a pretty viable strategy, so...
Yeah, exactly. It's got a way to go before actually winning on points, but
Yeah, I mean, the only problem is if you draw something kind of nasty now, and he gets to hemorrhage it out. That's where it's going to get dicey.
yeah.
Alright, so we'll see what happens. Looks like it's your turn. You're well ahead on money. You've got like about 11 credits of things on the board you could bounce back. Loads of things to do, but not necessarily.
Oh, hey, he's actually running on R&D.
Ah, so no.
That
Looks like
Lotus
I was...
field will hopefully keep them out.
Yeah, I mean, not exactly sure what he's got for code gates. I think he's got a knight to deal with the Lotus field, and it looks
Yeah.
like he's actually got that in hand as well. So
I think we did draw punitive once again, so luckily he didn't get in and trash the 4th punitive of the game with his ability. But it does look like we're going to try and go for the posted bounty here.
yeah, we'll see what happens here. I've got a feeling he's going to drop that knight and go for it. He also looks like a David as well in hand, so he's pretty much got any tool he wants to get in.
Yeah.
It's going to be a naked run. Hits a curtain wall. So probably just going to drop the David and get in. If I was right about seeing a David.
Yeah, no, I think I can still see that David there. And it's amazing to see just how many tools Anarchs have, both in terms of some of the best breakers in the game, but also some of the best answers to high strength and low strength ice. So
Red is the new blue.
that's it, yeah.
Yep, and that's it. That's the David. So it looks like he's going to get the pass and probably nail the posted bounty.
Hmm.
Alright, so at the very worst, you've forced him to use some resources, you still get the curtain wall back. Posted bounty goes unscored, but sometimes there's not much you can do about that.
Well, that's it, yeah. I've lost 1 point, and I do leave the curtain wall on the table. Oh, alright. Thank God this is a game night kit and not store champs or regionals.
Alright, so still only 3 points on the table for yourself. I mean, you've got to maybe consider trying to score out at this point.
Yeah, I think definitely a consideration here.
I mean, are you running any hostiles or anything, or are you going to have to slog it the hard way?
Yeah, no, I think it's the hard way all the way at this stage, especially with the posted bounty gone. There might be a second copy in the deck, but it's not something you can rely on at this stage. So I'm pretty sure at some stage I'm going to have to try and force some agendas out and see how many of these resources I can drain.
Yeah, also noting the current 4 tokens on Hemorrhage, so that's 2 cards.
Yeah, looking very intimidating.
I mean, fortunately, it looks like most of his options to acquire more Hemorrhage tokens are not very valid.
Yeah, although that errand boy is still looking quite porous. So for the equivalent of 3 credits, he would get a hemorrhage token, a couple of data sucker tokens, and a credit from the Desperado. So,
Alright, speaking of which, looks like he's going to force you to toss a bunch.
ugh.
It looks like a Scorch went there as well, so not the best of positions. He draw another Scorch. That's fantastic. Alright, so repositioning that Lotus Field.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid play. I mean, you now got 3 Scorches in hand, so...
Yeah, no, I think there's obviously a bit of a weakness to code gates in the deck from what I've seen so far. And although, as you said, there's a knight to answer that sort of thing.
Alright. Looks like the danger's coming though. Lots of R&D's become open, so it looks like he's just going to run the hell out of R&D.
Yep.
And if he sees something dangerous, that's not going to be too good. Because he gets to mill off a card there. Going to see 2 more. Scores another posted bounty.
Mm-hmm.
So more cards. Oh, that's not good. The high risk investment
so now
goes.
it's getting dicey.
Yeah, now it's pretty dicey. That's a lot of medium tokens, and you can't purge. Like, there's no way in hell you can purge.
That's it, and it also stifles the starting to score out plan, since that agenda can sit in there, but we need to ice up R&D.
Yeah, now it just has to sit there. Alright, so you're going to double ice R&D. Not going to keep him out forever, but hopefully it should at least provide some options.
Yep. It is quite an intimidating board state, and I think it's more about stabilizing for the corp here to find an opportunity to purge, and after that go back on the score out train. So we do see me putting 1 advancement counter on that agenda, so I haven't completely forgotten about it.
Perhaps trying to maybe think of it as an NAPD or something, just kind of bluff it out as an NAPD. No, you don't have enough money to get in here. Maybe it's a trap. You know, I mean, you've got to start trying to think about it in terms of trying to put the runner on tilt a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's going to check the unresed just in case, and yeah, pop it, which seems pretty good. just to make sure he doesn't get more hemorrhage tokens.
Yeah, exactly.
But you've got to go get an asset, and I'm pretty sure the only asset left is snares. So yeah.
So we do that.
Yeah, I don't really have any other options, so...
I think there are probably worse assets to get.
True, true. Especially considering you do still have all those scorches in hand, so...
Yeah, exactly.
If he makes a bit of an error, will not end well.
And it can make for interesting plays where you might see your opponent leg working you, and you've got a snare in hand, and you might go an executive boot camp for a second snare. Yeah.
So drawing into what looked like a prior wreck.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
so.
it's another clean as nice prior wreck. So again, still 3 scorches in hand. I mean, the temptation to purge has got to be high, but the pressure is still mounting to get that agenda out of here now that the runner's on about 1 billion credits.
But we do see the purge, it seems.
Yeah, it's one of those things I can't really disagree. Like, there's really not a world in which I disagree with that purge. But it's still not a good position, though.
No.
So, I mean, if you're the runner right now, I mean, you've got to assume that top ice is the, on the scoring server is just another curtain wall.
Well, that's it. That or the Lotus Field that you couldn't get through earlier, I guess. It does go and run an R&D.
Yeah, it looks like an HQ. Is he going to make... We know there's a 1 in 5 pull here.
There's a Scorch and there's a Priory Wreck.
So he's going to see the Scorch, gets rid of it. Edward Kim showing a bit of value again.
That's it. That ability has been pretty fruitful this game.
Yeah, not sure what the ice is on HQ that precipitated no res, but... guess it's not really that worth it. So he's going to make the run on the scoring server. We know there's 3 points in there, but... So yeah.
We do find a Lotus Field, fortunately.
Yeah, but he's got the knight in hand, so he can make a play for it next turn, and we know you can't get it out, so that's not going to be pretty.
Looks like a last click run, I think.
Yeah, it's...
So...
Looks like it actually might be a hive? I'm not sure. So
I think this is where things get quite dicey.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, 2 Scorches, a Snare, and a Priory Wreck in hand.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a 1 in 4 of win and also a 1 in 4 of instantly losing, but it looks like he's got
there.
And he gets there.
It's a pretty intense game.
Yeah, that was...
Definitely showcasing the power of Edward Kim as well.
Yeah, Edward Kim triggered on, like, every run on R&D. Those top decks for the... Oh, for the punitives and all of that was just absolutely brutal.
Yeah, and it shows me the eye have had worse in hand.
Yeah. And so I think you're definitely right not going for the combo because it would have whiffed easily. But I mean, that was a slog for both sides. It definitely wasn't some traditional Netrunner.
Yeah.
In the strictest sense, but an entertaining game nonetheless, I guess.
Quite exciting, and you do get to see a lot of... Well, see him shuffling my agendas back into his Anarch deck. But no, you do get to see a lot of the powerful cards that Anarch have got to offer, and Edward Kim taking great advantage of that.
Definitely. Alright. Okay, so that's that. So we won't bring you game 2 of this round either, because this round also went to time, just like last week. I mean, I recorded 2 rounds and they both went to time, so that's... I don't know. Should get more NEH Butcher Shop getting recorded, and those go quick, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, look out for those. But yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, no, and thank you very much for coming on and doing the commentary on your game.
Hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Definitely, definitely. Alright, so that was a Swiss round 2 of the GNK and Adelaide 2015, 14 of May. Hope to see you next time. We'll come at you with another tournament, which will be next week, filming on the 28th. hope to see you around. And again, Alex, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Going to get this resource, or what you want to be